A very good morning to all viewers. I can see that quite a few of you have joined us this morning for this panel discussion. The topic for which is health, happiness, and positivity. The great Dalai Lama has said, happiness is the highest form of health. And I'm sure all of you viewers would agree that good health in itself brings happiness. And we are happy, and it just indicates that we're also brimming in positive energy. So there can't be any other times than this when the entire globe is being gripped in anxiety over this tiny little microorganism. It is but vital that we discuss how we can stay in good health, especially for our kids who are also part of this anxiety tour, fortunately or unfortunately. I'm happy to introduce to you the expert panel who will throw light on the current scenario to answer so many questions that seem to haunt you and me, especially considering the health of our young ones. I know most of us, like me, would have older kids, but however old they are, they seem to be our young ones. So I have with us Dr. Rinku Das. The Dr. Rinku Das is an ophthalmologist, a phacosurgeon, and a glaucoma specialist. I'm sure our viewers are waiting to flood you with many questions, Dr. Rinku. Welcome to the panel discussion. I have Dr. Rohit Shetty, dental surgeon. I should, in fact, add that it's Captain Dr. Rohit Shetty, who has served in the armed forces for quite a while before starting his private consultation.
Thank you.
I have Dr. Soumya. Welcome, sir. I have Dr. Soumya, who is MD in internal medicine, and she is a consultant with Columbia Asia Hospital in Sarjapur Road.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we have Ms. Shanti Lakshmi, a child nutrition expert who has worked with many schools curating the food needs and the lunch and the dinner menu. To name one of those schools, it's Prakriya Green Wisdom School. And in fact, I need to add that she is at heart a teacher, and from teaching, she has moved into this newfound passion. Welcome, Ms. Shanti.
Thank you, Priya.
And of course, last but not the least, it's our director, Ms. Preeti Bhandari. She is an early childhood expert, as most of you may be knowing, and also the curriculum director of Little Ellie Preschools. So welcome, Ms. Preeti Bhandari.
Thank you, Priya.
Yeah, let me add on, viewers, that you may post your questions in the chat box, and we will take up the questions as and when we are having this discussion. And for all those who are wondering who I am Ms. Priya Ramakrishnan, and I head the academics and curriculum for Glentree Academy Group of Schools. And at heart, I'm a teacher. So we start this discussion, dear panelists, with my first question, probably to Dr. Rinku. So can I go ahead, Dr. Rinku? Yeah. So I'm sure a lot of viewers would also be wanting to ask this question. So let me take the first opportunity to ask you. There is so much being spoken about screen time, and children, getting occupied by either the TV or the various devices that they have. So it is a very tough question to answer. I know. What is the ideal amount of time? And I would like to give that in two batches, probably 1 to 10-year-old and 10 to 15-year-old. What, according to you, is the ideal amount of time that children should be exposed to, any amount of gadget or TV or whatever it is?
Okay. Yes. First of all, good morning to all the viewers, and I'm really happy for the entire team to give me an opportunity to speak on this. And I would like to say health, happiness and positivity. This is a very nice discussion, particularly at this point of time. So your question was, what is the screen time? So what is the screen time? Screen time means how much time you give to the digital, to give to the television, to the tabs, to the mobile and all. So there is a guideline which has to be followed, though it is not followed regularly. So it is it is from 0 to 2 years. It should be less than, they shouldn't be allowed to follow. But it is, but still kids get bored, so definitely the parents give it, so it shouldn't be given. 2 to 5 years maximum 1 hour, and more than till 10 years it should be less than 2 hours. 2 hours is the maximum. So let me divide our life into a pre-COVID era and a COVID era. We don't know how many months or a year it might take to go up.
Exactly.
So I would say about the pre-COVID era, where the kids had lot of time, lot of friends. They used to go out after they come out from the school. They had lot of classes, and the parents were strictly instructing what are the digital time, what is the time they should be going. But after the start of the lockdown, the parents were juggling between their household chores because the helps were not there, then their work, their meetings. For that reason, the screen time has increased. Plus, this online classes that have started after this. So this has added up to the problem. So what is the screen time? I'll detail you what should be the screen time, but there are some problems which kids will be facing. I would like to highlight on that. Many of us have heard about the computer vision syndrome. You must have visited the eye clinics. The eye specialists tell you that the computer vision syndrome or the digital eye strain. So what is this computer vision syndrome? Why the name syndrome? Because it is a combination of many things. How much time you give to how much time you gaze you gaze your computer or your TV, and your posture, how you sit in front of the computer. These all things, this is a combination of that. So in the eye related issues, what patient faces, there is a lot of redness, there are itchy eyes, burning eyes, even say there's a blurred vision. And also the posture also, because of you're completely sitting in front of the computer, so that leads to a lot of neck and back pain. Plus your wrist, the moment you are continuously, they are on the digital, they are on the mobile and on playing something, this leads to a lot of wrist pain. All these things leads to a lot of problem. So for those reasons, the screen time should be properly managed. Though in this scenario, it is little tough, but there are methods where we can actually guide our kids how to go ahead. Maybe in the next session, I'll be detailing how you can balance between your screen time, how much should be your TV time, how much should be your online classes, that I can guide. And because of this situation, so we should be little more concerned about the problem, because there are many from the screen, we say about the blue light, you must have heard about it. This blue light has very short wavelengths, but it is high in energy. So that causes a lot of damage to our photosensitive layer. So all this might lead to a permanent damage in future. So if it is addressed properly at a proper time, you may be able to deal with it further. So let me tell you, after the session, maybe in the second session, I'll be detailing what are the things that is required, what the parents should guide the kids and how they will be managing. So
I'm sure parents must be waiting too. Yeah. So I will just take the rest of the panelists and then come back to you. So I'm quite sure that there will be questions asking what is the ideal time?
Yes.
Yeah, to get it from the horse's mouth. That's the best that we can do. Yes, Dr. Shetty, my next question is to you. And most obviously, if it's COVID times, we are talking about children indulging in all kinds of food. Talk about the children into the baking sessions or going into cooking. I think all of us are cooking quite a few things, but dental care is going to be very important, right? So what do you think is the best dental care that we can follow during these COVID times?
Yeah.
Can you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can tell you.
Thanks for the question and thanks for having me here in the first place.
It's our pleasure.
Since your question is about the effect of this lockdown, okay, and I was going to go deep into what foods to have, but then I realized there is a dietitian on board on the panel, so I thought I'll let that be and stick to
I know.
Okay, so let me start by saying, this is something new for all of us. So most of what I'm going to say is going to be just speculation and not backed by any scientific data as of now. So my one effort would be to not go viral for the wrong reasons by giving out any wrong information. And I can say this much with surety. Teeth have now moved on to being a part of the inner beauty rather than outer, because for the time being,
I know.
because we're all going around with the mouth masks, basically. Yeah? Most of the dental problems, they originate, yes, like you said, from bad diet and also, incorrect habits. Although we have not had lockdowns, we have all had these summer vacations. And most of the children, they have had summer vacations. The eating habits are similar in that time. So there is one thing to be said about dental problems, a thumb rule it is. Well, how you take care of it now, it decides how healthy they are in the next decade. So it's in the short term, we can really never say there's going to be any effect as such. So there's not going to be any immediate effects from the lockdown, if one may say so.
Okay.
But having said that, there are 4 major problems. Like we tend to put it as, dental problems. It's not really that way. It's, there's one thing, decay due to the kind of foods we are having, sticky foods with rich carbohydrates, these things. And then there's also gum problems, which is due to wrong nutrition, as in, less intake of calcium, maybe vitamins. Okay. Then there's one vitamin B3, which makes a lot of difference. And also malnourished, as in you may have deficiency of some issues in your food. Okay. And there's one thing. During holidays, okay, not this COVID is something different. We are not
probably say this is an extended holiday, summer vacation.
Yeah, probably that. Okay, and children are not let out too much too. But in summer holidays, when children are let out, there's one more thing which we all miss out: trauma to the front teeth. They all have. Most of the children, they have falls. And what one must realize is these are permanent teeth. So sometimes the parents are surprised when we tell them, these are permanent teeth and they have to be treated immediately as an emergency. But they think, these teeth are again going to go off. In fact, from the age of 6, we start having permanent teeth. Probably later on, I can, in the second part of this, I can tell you how to, if there is time, how to go about it and what the parent should do.
Exactly. That's what we
as on an immediate basis.
Yeah, sure. I would love to have that answer too from you, Doctor. Yes, and Dr. Soumya, I would extend this question to you. In these COVID times, we also understand that children are, under psychological stress. So what do you think is that age group that is being affected by psychological stress owing to the present times? So is there an age group at all? Or do you think that there is no such age group and it can affect any age group of children, confining themselves in a particular place, not being able to socialize? So what impact does that have on child psychology?
Thank you, Priya. First of all, I like to thank Mrs. Preeti Bhandari and the team for giving me this opportunity for today's discussion. So definitely this being definitely different. The life of children has changed drastically like never before because of this lockdown situation, not socializing. So the age group mainly get affected was more adolescents, 12 to 18 group. But it can affect even a younger group because it depends on the parents. If the parents are anxious and emotionally stressed, because children of all the ages draw the support from the parents. If they're not happy, they can just draw that anxiety from us. So, but as you asked, what age group, mainly 12 to 18 are the most because they can see the social media and they know what's going on around them. So that's the major age group that got affected during this because schools are shut down and they can't go out because of social distancing and no outdoor activities, not able to meet friends and their peers and all that. So a lot of anxiety, depression, as mental well-being got affected. And Dr. Riku said mainly screen time, so dry eyes and eye symptoms and the spine problems with the posture. And as Dr. Shetty said about the dental care and all that stuff. but mainly psychologically, definitely a lot more mainly adolescents, because they are the ones who can really see what's going around. And the anxiety and depression is much more in that age group compared to the toddlers and 6 to 10 age group. So how to help with them? So mainly maybe talk to them emotionally, just to see what they are feeling and what's their main concerns, and try not to isolate themselves from the family. And so that's the main thing. I think it's going to be, as we know that we don't know how long it's going to be, this social distancing and the schools being off for so long. And so we just have to see, mainly how it's going to be.
Thank you, Dr. Soumya. And we'll probably discuss how we could talk to children a little later. Yes, and Ms. Shanti, I think all viewers would be waiting to know what are the substitutes for the pizzas and the burgers that children are craving for right now. I'm sure as parents, none of us would want to buy them pizzas and burgers from outside. It's probably a daily battle for most of us. I don't know if you all agree with me. It's a daily battle to tell them, no, we'll have to find substitutes for them. So you're the right person to guide us into what substitutes we can. Yeah, could you unmute yourself, ma'am?
Yeah, sorry. Good morning to all the panelists, and thank you so much, Mrs. Preeti Bhandari and Priya Ramakrishnan, to give me this opportunity this morning to join this panel. So, to my question, which is given, I would like to start with a small little story to tell you, because the stories are something which gives a lot of impact to anything. So this is a story which is attributed to the father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi, from 1930s. So in this story, which is a story of well-being, habits for well-being, which is attributed to him. And there was a little boy who was so much obsessed with sugar. And the mother had no way to get him out of that habit. So one day she decided that this boy has a lot of love and he's an Mahatma Gandhi's idol. So she wanted to take this little boy to Mahatma Gandhi and take his advice. So she took the decision to walk in the scorching sun a long way to reach Mahatma Gandhi. And she reaches there and meets him, and she conveys the problem to him. But Gandhiji says nothing, but says you go back and come and see me after 2 weeks. The mother was very perplexed. She didn't know what to do, but she had to go back and wait for the 2 weeks to come back again. The 2 weeks goes by and she is back again with the sun, walking in that scorching sun. And she goes to Gandhiji. Gandhiji immediately looks at the boy and he says, it's so good if you can stop the consuming sugar, because it's not going to be good for your health. The boy nods and says, I will definitely try. And the mother was very curious why she didn't get the same answer 2 weeks before. So the mother asked Gandhiji, can you tell me, why didn't you tell me this 2 weeks back? Gandhiji smiles at the mother and tells her, I had this obsession 2 weeks back for sugar. Oh. And it took 2 weeks for me to get out of this habit. So it's a habit for well-being, and it definitely takes time to be more mindful about anything you want to give up, or anything. It's not only about eating, anything in life. So this is something which has impacted me in my life, this story. I take it in most of my talks. It's just because in today's, not only in that lockdown situation or whatever, what we generally see is how children are so much for craving for sugar. in different forms. So basically the topic I thought we'll bring in is just to bring in the whites, the 5 whites, which are so much being consumed by, not only by children. Why do we say children? It's from the parents also. And how this is causing a lot of problems, health problems to all of us in different ways, like in the form of diabetes, in the form of cardiovascular diseases, in the form of obesity in a very big way. So when I say these whites, what are the things which comes under these whites? One is definitely sugar. One is the rice. When I say rice, I mean the polished rice, which is nice, white and fluffy in nature. The look of it makes you crave for having it. Yeah. Then the biggest culprit being the refined flour, the maida, which is being extensively used in all the bakery products and any of the biscuits and all these.
Simple, we have to say all our favorite products.
All our favorite things. They are our favorite things. But they all come under the processed food, which is concentrated. So one of my observation in this lockdown time in our own supermarket in the apartment which I live is the counters which get empty very fast. And I have no doubt it is the biscuits, it's the bread, it's the cake, it's the beverages where there is a whole lot of sugar, loaded with sugar, which is going away. And I don't want, and also it is that counter which gets filled up so easily also.
But what do you think are the substitutes for this now?
Yeah. So that coming to that, what I thought is it's never wrong to never save children not to have a pizza or a burger. It's for us as adults to look at how do we change the method of making and what are the different ingredients which are healthy as well as tasty, which will make them more happy. So one of the things which I thought is taking the burger as an example. And how do you make this burger in a very healthy way? One of the ingredients which goes into the burger, in making the burger, is definitely the mayonnaise. And it is the maida, it is the butter, it is the other ingredient, I think I'm not remembering. All the whites which goes basically. So the one of the mayonnaise which I have discovered to make is with cashew nuts. Though the cashew is definitely on the acidic side, but it is much, much better compared to having maida. So what we can do is to soak about 250 grams of maida about for 2 hours.
Cashew. You mean cashew?
Sorry, I'm sorry, for cashew. Wash it completely, drain out the water when you are going to use it. Put it in the mixer. Add about 2 tablespoons of chopped onion to it. A very little, about 1 teaspoon of lime juice. Very little, about half a teaspoon of roasted pepper. And yellow mustard, which you get. That is to enhance the flavor, but you have to use it very, very, very little.
Yeah, otherwise you get that.
Yeah, the very pungent smell you can get. So try to use it in the minimum quantity. And definitely a little bit of salt. And those who like garlic can add a clove of garlic, 1 or 2 cloves. Put all this together in the mixie and blend it together, and your mayonnaise is ready, which is really, really tasty and healthy.
Thank you so much, Ms. Shanti. I urge all our viewers to definitely try this form of mayonnaise. At least it's healthy, and we'll probably, as she said, slowly develop a taste for it.
Yeah.
Yes, and now my question is to Ms. Preeti Bhandari. And there is so much of a uproar over why online classes should be conducted, especially for young children. So, and in fact, the government has been blaming school management, saying that this is a way of probably, trying to retrieve fees from students. So you and I know what all has gone into online classes, but I would like to hear from you about what do you feel about the online classes that are going on?
Yeah. So good morning to all the panelists. Thank you so much for coming in here today. And a very good morning to all the parents who are listening to us today. So coming for this question, Priya, what I will say is we need to divide it into two parts. One is for a parent to understand the education of his child. And the second thing is his choice as a parent. So if I'm talking about education, the basic thing of education is to initiate changes, right? So what are the changes, whatever social changes in a civilized society, whatever changes have happened as of now is because of education. That's why we see such a big difference in our attitude and the way we look at life. So that is something which is very important that a parent should understand. Second thing is because of this COVID times, many of our families' lives, they have changed overnight. We never had this, of sitting at home all the time with the children. Even for small families, it is a tough task to have children together. Everyone is at home. So all the chores can be divided, but mentally, we were not ready for this kind of situation. So it took time for us to get, to understand what this situation is going to take us to. One thing I've realized is, as a responsible citizen, social distancing is something which we need to practice. And I'm sure all the doctors and Shanti Lakshmi also will agree that there's no better alternative as of now than that we have to do social distancing. And when we practice social distancing, we have to be at home. That is the next thing that follows. And at home, who are the ones we are more protective about? As humans or as any animal, in the planet, we are very protective about our children. We don't want anything to happen to our children. It is okay that we suffer, okay? But when it comes to our children, we are the most protective. And how do we keep them occupied? Like Dr. Rinku said, we do keep them occupied with all the gadgets. We are all educated people. We have gadgets at home. And children will be occupied in that. But what happens at the end of it? There is a problem for the eyes and so on. But one very important thing to understand is we need to look at having a very limited time in all these gadgets. Most of the houses I've seen is the young children are the remote control, experts. They know which channel gives which program. And most of the time, they only decide which program the whole family has to watch. I'm talking about, the 5-year-olds, 4-5-year-olds, isn't it? So we are experiencing all this, and how do we engage them at home? And we all know as educated adults that technology is here to stay. I can't tell that, no, my child should not touch the laptop or, no, it is not good. To some extent, I cannot do that because I need my child to become proficient in tomorrow's world. So I lay emphasis on quality online learning. In this COVID times, I know it should not be a permanent solution for education, but quality is very important when it comes to online learning. So we could look at, having only 1 to 1.5 hours for screen time. And we have all the experts in the world today also talking about blended learning, which has this online as well in that. And it's a beautiful concept because early childhood educators are also for blended learning. So are, the universities who are doing online classes for our children. So what I would always say is, if blended learning comes into place, preschool or kindergarten children should start or should at least experience what it is. If you don't experience a thing, then it is always a question mark.
Correct.
So I will always tell parents that we should allow our children to experience. Of course, keep your screen time, to 1 hour or 1.5 hours. And if a school is looking at quality online learning, they will themselves make sure that the child doesn't spend more than 1.5 hours on screen time for a child of 5 years to maybe 3 years to 5 years, I would say. But otherwise, I see children using more screen time. So if we are talking about screen time, the biggest culprit in the house is the TV.
Yeah.
We should have banned TV long back.
Yeah.
So parents need to understand that this could be the new thing that is coming, and I as a parent should make sure that yes, my child can be exposed. And the second, since I divided it into education and choice, parents have always had a choice, be it COVID or be it not COVID times.
Absolutely.
Parent only could decide that which school should my child go to. It could be on different factors. Maybe the proximity of the school, maybe also vitamin M, I call it, vitamin, since doctors are here, it is very, it comes all the more. Vitamin M, the money, the budget. Can I afford this kind of education? Which is a very straightforward thing for any parent to understand. So today I fail to understand why the parent is, trying to say that, management is doing this. Being from a school management side, I want to give a very open this to the parents that you always had a choice to choose for your child. And you still have a choice. I don't want to force any parent into online education, saying that because everyone is doing, you don't know. You understand what your child requirements are. If you feel my child should try this, please go ahead. If you don't feel that, no, I don't want my child to do this, then it's your choice. So parents should feel that, yes, it is a choice. And if they're talking about management making money, I think Priya and I, we know. And on a very sensitive mode, we can say that, every school caters to at least 300 families, women. That is a minimum. So, it goes, and we are not the corporate kinds where we earn in lakhs. So every month it is very important. So that is something which as a society, parents should start thinking. It's not that he's paying for his child's education, but he's also paying for the well-being of some family. So this is something which every parent should realize. And technology, since it's here to stay, online is there. It's going to happen. It may happen today or it may happen tomorrow.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's something which I would like to
share. In fact, I would add a few words to what you have to say, Preeti, extending whatever you have to say. I think that the present scenario has put the child in the driver's seat. Probably the child can look and take care or take control over his or her learning. Probably, with a completely teacher-driven model in the school, the child or the parent at least is completely dependent on the teachers. But right now, with so much of content being sent home and the home behaving like a school and a home together, I think the child is given an opportunity to take control. Looking optimistically, of course, blended learning, as Ms. Preeti said, is probably there to stay. And that's what a lot of experts are saying is going to work. Yeah, I will take questions which come on Facebook as and when they come, but we'll wait until some questions drop by. But before that, I have the next question to Dr. Rinku. And please, we are waiting for you to give us that screen time, the ideal screen time that you want to give for different age groups.
Yeah, so for this, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. For the screen time, I would like to say that as I told you, how we had divided it till 2 years, it was not recommended. But with the current till 2 years, it was not recommended. 2 to 5 years, it was maximum 1 hour. And from 2 to 10 years, it was maximum 2 hours. But with the current scenario, which I see with the online classes, I think this would be a new normal now. So in that cases, and I have seen the online classes schedule, and they have really managed it well. This is what I have seen from some of the schedules. I think 30 to 40 minutes, it is what is recommended per class. And there are 20 minutes of gap, which we usually recommend to everyone, even to the adults also, that they should be taking breaks in between. So I feel even if it's a new normal, but if we manage the other times, like this I want to speak to all the parents also, because I get a lot of patients who sit around the adults who sit around 10 to 11 hours in front of the system. This tips up for them also. So as I told you, there should be a break between the two, between the computer work. So I think in this online classes, they are managing well, as it will be a new normal. So so what are some alternatives apart from the online classes? They can take up some other activities, like the lockdown has made many chefs, many good painters and all. So even I'll tell you part I did when the lockdown it was total lockdown. I had a video consultation with one of the kids. She had a lot of red eyes, burning sensation. But I just told her that you stop all this and don't see computers or games and all, you do some painting. And you won't believe, after a week, she had a very good response to the whatever the medicine or lubricant which I had given. And she showed whatever the shapes and size, they were great paintings. So, she was happy, so was I, because something which I had advised had helped them a lot. So, as I told you,
Sorry for interfering. I'm sorry. I would like to know if the light factor made the difference in.
Yeah, as I told you, they say that there is because of the screen time, there are some rays which I told you about, the blue rays, which are not good for the eyes. And first of all, the light, and also your eyes stays open for quite a long time. So for the proper tear secretion, you should blink your eyes, and also to retain the tear. If your eyes are staying open for a longer time, then the tear gets evaporated. All these things leads to dryness. So there are some tips I would be sharing with you. As I told you, you have to make a balance. I mean, the parents, if they can plan after juggling between the Thadu Buchas and your...
Excuse me, doctor. I have a few questions too.
Yeah.
It's all related. I will just post them to you.
Yeah.
One, they want to know about the distance from the screen that children have to maintain.
Yeah.
And secondly, in case they develop some redness or something, what are the exercises that you would suggest?
Yes. So the distance should from the computer screen is maximum 20 to 25 inches. That is what is maximum that should be done. And if they develop these problems, so there are some other tips, as I tell to the parents who are also with the kids now. So you should blink your eyes as frequently as you can. The rest is very much important. I have seen that as they are on computers and all for quite a long time, they don't sleep in the afternoons. The sleep should be there, the proper sleep at the proper sleep in the night. That is what is required. Even I have seen after the long days of the system use and all, I feel a little bit of they have become irritable after quite a long time. Even they come here and they say that we are getting bored. And they really, I have seen after the end of the, during evening, I have seen they are very irritable because even they don't like this life. But so these are the some things I would like to say. The distance has to be proper. While working, they shouldn't be hunched back. It shouldn't be like that. There should be a proper distance. The lighting has to be proper. You should match your brightness and contrast according to your surroundings. If the curtains are open, then you have to close the curtain. If the light is falling on this computer screen, that gives a lot of glare. All these things, little changes from your side. Definitely the parents would be guiding them. To the smaller kids, definitely the parents would be guiding them. If they make these changes, that will help. And one more thing, the posture part, I would like to say, as the furnitures are made according to the adult sizes, very rarely the kids are growing. Okay, so what you do, the computer should be at the eye level. Even I am not at the eye level, it should be little more like this. Okay, and the chairs are very big, so try hard that there should be a footrest so that they don't have a leg pain and all. If the table is very high, they have a lot of problem in working on the computers. Put some cushions and let them sit there so that they can have a proper, while they are typing or anything, they can have help. At least the wrist problem, the postural problem shouldn't be there. And they should take frequent breaks, as I told you, not for the online classes. Otherwise also, if they take a break, that will help a lot. And frequent blinking of the eyes is required. I mean, when you blink your eyes, the tear secretion is proper. And if at all there is a dryness, that's it. If you blink your eyes, that will help a lot. And the most importantly, I tell everyone, 20-20-20. So you must have heard this term also. After every 20 minutes, look at 20 feet away for 20 seconds. That is a little exercise that will help. So little bit of changes I have seen, if you make it, that helps a lot. And most importantly, if you have a refractive error, if you have power in your eyes, you may not have checked your eyes ever. So without glass correction, you shouldn't be working. That is the foremost important thing. You might have a blurred vision for this dryness and all. but chances are there you might be having numbers. So that should be corrected. After that, you start using the computers. This is how I will say. And one more thing to all the parents that we are worried about the screen time, but I will say I have an 11-year-old at home, but I'll say the kids have really managed well in this lockdown. Really, I would have some thumbs up to them. Really, they have managed well, and never a thing for the, even if they say we want to eat this, if we say no, they will say no. Whatever we have said, they have not stepped out of the house. So really, I appreciate their effort. And screen time, you have to reduce. The parents have to guide them.
I probably we have to say thank you to the children who have managed much better than probably. Yes, I would like to quickly summarize the points that Dr. Rinku had made. She had made one point saying 40 minutes of sessions with a 20-minute break and 20 to 25 inches the gap between the screen as well as the person. And then sleep. Please manage your sleep really well and adjust the brightness and contrast of your computer according to the surroundings so that you could, you could ensure that your eyes are not as much as at risk. And then keep the computer at the eye level. And very importantly, the 20-20-20. So every 20 minutes, you need to look around for 20 seconds and, around.
This 2020 is a bad year for us, but somehow this has been accommodated.
20-20-20 is probably a good solution.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Rinku.
Yes, thank you.
Ms. Shanti, I think there is quite a bit of, request from our viewers. They want the recipe for the homemade mayo. So we'll probably post it after some time. We can post it on our group. I will say that to all our viewers. I have the next question for Dr. Soumya. This is from a parent. So the parent is actually saying that one day my child woke up in the morning, suddenly started crying continuously, saying, where will coronavirus go away? When will coronavirus go away? I want to play with my friends. So the same question that I asked you, just a little before. Psychologically, the child getting affected and saying,
again, it's a situation like maybe not to watch too much of TV with the corona thing.
Okay.
That can cause a lot of anxiety because it depends on the age group. If they their anger and also maybe some home situation also parents might be showing some anxiety too. So we know that this is the virus, but it's not not going to go away. So they can maybe if they can't go out and play, maybe some depends again age group, maybe digital connection with the peers may help some anxiety. Even though as Dr. Rinku said, maybe limit this time, but at least maybe they'll have some connection with the friends. They're not isolated, alone kind of feeling. So to decrease that anxiety, mainly I think it's just parents ourselves to show that we are safe and secure. Our emotions should be more secure than and for that and fun games, maybe just to take away that anxiety, maybe some family fun time. And just maybe stay away. I feel like looking at this news all the time, I see that, we ourselves do that and ourselves will have a lot of anxiety looking at when is it going to end. So I think maybe limiting that exposure might help. Some of that. And also talking to them, this is, because when mainly isolation is affecting, then maybe just some digital time with the friends, talking to them and some creativity, like maybe drawing and some mindfulness. If the bigger kids and stuff, some yoga might be helpful to calm themselves and all that stuff. So I know it's every age group can get affected, but as I said, it's mainly the parents has to show that we are safe, we are safe environment.
Correct.
So there is
that's actually well said. See, we also believe that parents are the primary teachers for their children, and the school or the other surrounding is probably the secondary. The environment around them is only the second teacher. The primary teacher is probably the home.
Because we are not going to schools and stuff to get the thing. So we just have to show ourselves we are safe and secure, and both emotionally, and and let them know that you are safe and we are all together. And
in this. So, thank you, Dr. Soumya. The next question, Preeti. Yes.
Yeah, I have one question to Dr. Soumya.
Yes.
Doctor, see, because of this COVID, parents will panic. Now, suppose my child is, there are two things actually. If my child develops a cough, and I'm seeing some symptoms. So, what should I panic, or should I immediately come to you, or how is it?
Yeah, so just the cough is not a symptom of COVID. Again, it's fever, and just again, if it's just a simple cough, you just wait it out. Again, cough etiquette. So make sure that they're not coughing. Just teach them, not just when they're at home, even when they go out, they learn how to cover themselves and how to make sure that they are not using the hand, they're not coughing into the hand. And maybe the form forearm kind of just keeping, so that so some of those hygiene techniques, and no need to panic. We just have to watch it. It might be allergic, it might be some simple thing. You just have to watch and see, because panicking is not going to help. And even if you take them to the hospital, they will listen to your lungs and all that stuff. But there is no need for, if you are really worried, take them to the hospital. Actually, people are afraid to come to the hospital, but there is no need to be. If you are really worried, take them so that doctor can take a look at it and then give you that, listen to the lungs and see what's going on. Gives you some, at least, peace of mind. As for you, just know, and they can even do teleconsultation if they are worried about it. But no need to panic. It's not the symptom of COVID.
Okay.
And in continuation with that, if my child is suffering from wheezing issues, what are the precautions? Because as per COVID, they say it affects the lungs the most, right? So
yes.
Children who have weak kind of
asthma kind of thing.
Yeah. That we
so
can
if they're already known asthmatics and they are on already inhalers and stuff, they can continue to use those medicines. In patients with the COVID, they are saying not to use nebulizers because of the aerosol droplets and all that stuff. They can be more infectious and all that stuff. But they are just regular asthmatics. They can take care of themselves with what they are doing already. But if it's a new wheezing, something new, they need to be evaluated to see what's going on. So, but that's not the no panicking. Panic doesn't make it better. So you just have to see how to just evaluate what is the next step, what to do. Kind of, yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Soumya. Preeti, the next question is for either you or me as the parent. So my 2.5-year-old does not show much interest in online class. She keeps tossing and turning in her chair throughout the session, keeps yawning. So is this normal, is what the parent wants to find out. Are you taking the question?
Yeah, since it's 2.5, I can take.
Oh, yeah, please. Please.
That is my favorite group.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, see, with this parent, a 2.5-year-old normal behavior is whatever the child is doing is normal on. Okay, so as long as the child is active, she's happy, she's, smiling, there's no need for any parent to worry. Now, with the online classes, yes, if you feel that you can introduce it to her, then take it as an introductory mode. So there will be stepwise. So today she may sit only for 5 minutes and she may get up and run away. That's perfectly okay. Because even when you start anything new, there is a step-by-step progression that happens. So tomorrow she may sit for 10 minutes, day after maybe for 15 minutes. And if she finds something really interesting and she sees her friends around, it could be even 20 minutes. Like Dr. Soumya also said, socializing is important even on online, you can do that. So I wouldn't say that, no, this is something very wrong, and parents should not expect the child to sit from day one. There are a lot of aspects, even the mood of the child. It could, if we go down to child psychology, even the sleep pattern that the child had that night before will predict what kind of behavior we'll see today with her. Okay. So it is perfectly okay. So This is a new toy for her. This is a new way of interaction for her. So it will take some time. All you need to do is have patience. That's it.
With them. Yeah. Next question probably we'll take for Dr. Shetty. So you said that you will give us best dental care solutions. So we will look forward to it.
Best dental care solution, is there anything specific somebody would like to know, or in general?
In general, you would like to.
Yeah.
I mean, in general, a parent would want to actually know what are binge eating drawbacks. So what is it that you can do if you are into binge eating? What is it that you can do in order to, ensure that you're taking care of your teeth in the process?
Okay, one thing with binge eating, it's what is true for general health is also true for the dental aspects of basically oral health. Okay, first thing, and this is the easiest thing to do, is if this is properly done, that is brushing. If it's properly done, it mitigates most of the dental and oral health problems.
Gotcha.
Brushing as in twice daily. Okay, most children, even adults also, actually, whenever we ask them if they brush at night, they usually say, sometimes. Brushing at night is one of the most important habits one can cultivate. Okay, and what better time than now? Now there is all the time to change our habits. Okay, and it's important for the parents to do it. Like Mrs. The one who told about the Gandhiji story.
Yeah,
yeah. Okay, it is that once the parents do it, then the children automatically do it. Okay, when all of us have more hands on our time now, it's not just the children themselves. Usually when I coax a child to start brushing at night, the first answer is, but my mama doesn't do it, papa doesn't do it. So when I look at the parent, they usually come up with, what Mrs. Preeti Bhandari said, ours is damaged already. Like, what's the point? Let my children's children health be good. Okay, so that is what they come up with. But it really doesn't work that way. The thing is, once the parents do it, children, they are good imitators, like you all know. Okay, so they will imitate. It will catch on. And something specific about brushing time. It is usually approximately 2 minutes. Not a cumbersome thing, 4-5 minutes you go on. It's not like the 2 minutes, and make it fun. Do not behave as if it's a compulsion. Make it enjoyable. Change your pace, change the flavors. It really doesn't make a difference. All these ads will come and go. But any paste, it doesn't. It's the way of brushing that makes a difference. It's not really the paste. So you can change
excuse me for interrupting.
Yeah.
In fact, one person wants to know how to help small children learn the proper way to brush. So what is the proper way to brush?
Way of brushing. Okay. It's a little, right now we will not be able to explain it across online, but, if you were to visit any clinic, they'll actually easily show you how to do it. But then first the parents have to do it. It's not that, the children will only, the first age, if they're asking, that is, even when the first tooth comes out, that's at the age of 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
The mother or any parent is supposed to wipe it with a clean cloth. It's not really brushing. The normal brushing will start at the age of 1.5 to 2 years, and self-brushing probably, it really varies between 3 to 3.5 years. Till then, the parents have to do it themselves. Okay. As in the proper brushing technique, it's slightly more cumbersome than, showing it here. That's the thing. But one thing what must be said is that the parent has to do it first, and then the, habits are addictive that way. So the children will start doing it themselves. That's
Got it. Thank you. Thank you so much, Doctor. Yes, now I have my question to Ms. Shanti, and a lot of viewers do want to know what is mindful eating. We say we need to have mindful eating habits. So since Dr. Shetty also said that it's so important what you eat in order to ensure that you have better teeth. So what is that mindful eating? And if you could tell us what our day should be like, and what is the kind of food that fits the day best, which actually describes mindful eating, it will be very good.
Okay, like if you ask me for a day menu or a day, how the day has to go, it is always, the way I look at it is to look at the body cycles. It's very important to respect the body's intelligence. What is the body's requirement for the day? Rather than looking at groups and saying that this much of protein or that much of carbohydrate, don't put any numbers to it or percentage to it. It's basically to believe in the natural cycles of the body. I'm sure all of you must be knowing the natural cycles of the body. It's a rhythm. It's like the circadian rhythm. The sun sets, the sun rises in the morning and sets in the evening, and the moon comes. It's a cycle. A similar cycle goes within our body also. And these cycles are basically divided into the cycle of elimination, the cycle of appropriation or digestion, the cycle of assimilation, and the cycle of excretion. So it's so simple, and each of these cycle goes inside our body exactly for about 4 hours. So which starts at 4 a.m. in the morning, which starts with the cycle of elimination. And it's not so important that you have to exactly start the eating time at 4 a.m. It's too early for anybody to start. But what do you eat at that time? It's so important to know, because the cycle of elimination is when the body is eliminating all the waste. So the body is in need of food. So what is it that normally we eat when we feel hungry in the morning? Basically, we try to eat, being South Indians, we generally eat our dosas, we eat idli, we eat upma, the basic breakfast which we eat. But the body's requirement at that time is actually the need of sugar. How do you give sugar to your body? And basically, if you're going to eat a carbohydrate, whether it's an idli or a dosa, what is it? It is nothing, but it is sugar, in the form of sugar. But there is a lot of difference between the sugar which you are having, consuming through either through a idli or a dosa, and the fruits which you are going to give your children or you are going to eat yourself. The fruits which you are going to consume during the elimination cycle, it has the maximum amount of natural sugar, which is the best for the body to be given. So there is a lot of difference between the sugar which you consume. When I say sugar, you tend to ask me, when I'm eating fruits, I'm also consuming sugar. But that's not the added sugar. It is not the sugar which is
natural sugars.
Which is going to be the natural sugar. So that is the elimination cycle, which is very good, where the children can consume a lot of fruits, but it will become very boring for them. So what I want to tell the parents here is, why don't you make smoothies for them? And smoothies also, a quick recipe which I will want to share here is, all of you know how to make a ragi malt. Just a very little amount of ragi mixed in nice boiling water and made it into a thick porridge like this. Yeah. And to that, you can add a little bit of coconut milk. Instead of using the dairy, look for a coconut milk in small quantity and add the seasonal fruit to it. It could be the best time to add a mango because it's a season. Add a mango to it and make a shake by using some nuts and seeds as flavor enhancers, because the nuts and seeds has its own good antioxidants and also the best of the oils in it. So it could be a sunflower seed, it could be any of the nuts like almonds, it could be walnuts, it could be any raisins, dates. How do you not add a sugar to it, but make it more interesting and tasty by adding a good amount of mango, because being the season, and make a thick shake. It's a good smoothie to have in the morning, where even for adults, it's not only for children, where you don't really need to have a huge breakfast, because that will take care of you till your lunchtime.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ms. Shanti.
Yeah.
There are a few more questions. In fact, there is one parent who is very anxious to know. I would put it forth to all the 3 doctors. My children, 3.5 and 7 years, are pending for shots as per their age, as they shifted from the US. So can you please help me where I can get the info for the age-wise shots required in India? So also polio drops given in India, they seem to have missed that as well. So they would want to know where they could get that immediately. And I would also, pose a second question by the same parent. He wants to know, this is for Dr. Shetty, if fluoride toothpaste is required for children, is it, recommended for small children? Yeah. Doctor.
Shall I answer first?
Yeah, you could answer first and then we can have the other doctor.
Yes, fluorides can be used even as the first toothpaste. It is basically, parents tend to think that, over the top fluoride usage is harmful.
Okay.
But that kind of level of fluorides can never be reached with toothpaste. As in, even if a child were to swallow an entire tube,
okay,
not toxic as far as fluoride is concerned. Obviously, they might have other problems, but fluoride toothpaste is recommended at least once a day. Okay, once, especially the night brushing. Okay, it helps quite a bit, as in it forms a protective layer. Okay. So even from the beginning, it can be used. Some children may not like the flavor of it, as in, the flavor is masked with mint, etc. So which becomes slightly strong. So nowadays, everything is, even fruit flavors are available. So whatever is available, they can use it. And most of the space in the market, they all contain fluorides. Whether they advertise it or not, they all contain fluorides.
Okay, thank you, doctor. I hope the parent has got his question answered. Regarding the shots, can we have the
vaccinations? I'm not a pediatrician, so about for young kids, I think they should see pediatrician. They will have a set of guidelines for which age, what to get and all that stuff. I think it's best for them to do that.
They want to know the hospital, I guess, where they have to reach out to. So
yeah, Columbia Asia is doing vaccinations now. They started doing vaccinations.
Yeah, probably. I would assume that they would want to know information in the COVID scenario.
Yeah, COVID scenario, they already started doing vaccinations. So it's in infants, there is a certain vaccination, they have to have it, and they can postpone it to until 2 months. But now, if it is go beyond that point, then they need to start from the zero vaccination kind of. So now they are giving it. During the first 6 weeks of lockdown, they said they weren't giving much vaccinations, but they started giving vaccinations now. But 7 years and above, I think mostly they can wait until 10 for the Tdap booster. But below that age, I think pediatricians should help them. Should be scheduled.
They could probably seek out the pediatrician in Columbia Asia Hospital.
Yeah, they are doing vaccinations for sure.
Vaccination is started, is what the doctors are saying. So, dear parent, you may please reach up to Columbia Asia Hospital, Sarjapur Road. Yes, there are a few stream of questions that we have. Most of them are quite overlapping, so probably I'll just take the question any of the panelists could answer. So a lot of questions are based upon how children want to eat only watching something on screen. So they want to watch TV or they are watching some videos on gadgets and only then they want to eat. They are chewing and eating in small bites or bits. And this is they want a solution. What is it actually? So from all the specialists, I think without being a doctor, I can say that it comes from the parent.
Yeah.
But I would definitely give it to the experts. Basically, you would be able to give them better answers to that.
Actually, eating before the television, I have seen that that leads to obesity. This is what we have seen. So they eat very slow, and I feel that if you just you are in front of the system or in the TV, we say there is a term which is a couch potato, right? So there is a reason for why it has happened. Thing is that once you get indulged in all this thing, even you have noticed yourself, like on weekends and all, if you just completely watch, even I feel very lethargic. So what happens if the kid is continuously eating in front of TV? They make a habit. Chances of that problem is there. So they eat very slowly the food gets cold. So all these things are not good. So if you want a solution, then the parents have to plan a solution. What to go ahead, they can incentivize for that. If you don't do this, I'll give this much, or this what I'll give. This is what they have to plan their schedule. But eating in front of the television is not good. It's what I would say.
Yeah, it is just not advisable, as I said. I mean, as parents, a small parenting tip is probably, as Dr. Rinku said, it's important that you also decide what is all allowed and what is not allowed for your children. So those house rules are very important. So your house rules may not overlap with another house's rules, but you need to set the house rules very clear. So maybe watching TV over dinner is allowed, but over lunch and breakfast it's not allowed. So you need to work out on what works best in your respective homes is what I would probably believe as a parent more than anything else. And Dr. Shetty, there's a question for you. My son is 3.5 and doesn't like to brush his teeth at all. So they say it's a nightmare for them because it takes almost 30 to 40 minutes to brush his teeth. So few months he didn't brush at all and got plaques. So what is the solution the parent wants to know?
Have they tried changing the pace? One good idea would be to, basically when a child doesn't like to brush, either it is because it doesn't like, or it's some other issue as in, he just is kind of restless and, like doing it. Okay, for whether it takes 40 minutes or whether it takes an hour, they have to make sure that he or she, the child, brushes morning as well as night. If at all they want to do it once, it should be night brushing rather than in the morning. Okay, night brushing is so important that the morning brushing, it just leads to a freshness of mouth. But night brushing before going off to sleep, if you don't brush at night, whatever food particles or any carbohydrate, sticky food stuck in the mouth, it has a full 8 hours to act on the teeth, acidify and cause decay on the teeth. So night brushing, if at all they have to make the child brush once, let it be in the night. Okay. But ideally, if they can make it fun, generally, there are toothbrushes which look like toys, and they themselves have to start. Even it's okay if the parent themselves uses a toy toothbrush and brush. The child imitates. Okay, but all said and done, because it is going to lead to big problems.
Yeah, thank you, doctor. Yeah, we can hear you right now. Thank you, doctor. So I think parent, try to change your paste right now. Try to change your brush and see if your child is able to enjoy the process. And as we have always said, it takes time to create a habit. So we may have to be patient with them to, develop that habit. So that's basically, we are also into the process of learning as a parent. So we learn with our children what works and what doesn't work. I have few more questions. This is one question saying, what are the precautions for kids prone to asthma and frequent cough and wheezing during this time? Like Ms. Preeti already posted saying that, these are probably people who are more prone to getting attacked by the virus is the general belief. But what is a precaution that they can probably take in these times?
Maybe avoid cold stuff like mainly ice creams and all those things. Okay. So, and other than that, just keep taking the prescribed medicines by the pediatrician and just regular universal hygiene precautions, wash your hands and good night's sleep, immunity, immunity boost, as Dr. Santalakshmi said, good foods, eating properly and those kind of things. But there is nothing specific that they can do to prevent any of that. At least good thing they're not going out. So allergies and all that stuff, at least they can avoid dust allergies and all those things.
Okay. Yeah, I think we have the answer for that. And there is one more question. I will just quickly. My 3-year-old kid keeps a bite in the mouth. She doesn't swallow it at all. It takes more than an hour to finish even one roti. So she doesn't like sweet items as well. Can we give her more like khichdi and dal, and what is the best thing that she can very chew quickly is what the parent wants to know. Anyone can take that question.
So if I have to answer that, is it like mainly sitting in front of screen time they're doing it, or in general food problem?
In general, eating probably is, the child is probably just not going into the food at all.
Yeah, so khichdi, all that is fine. Those are good protein and all those things. That will be fine. If they are not doing the solids like a chapati and all that stuff, they can replace it. That's fine. I think maybe Shanti Lakshmi might just answer.
Yeah,
if
I
she
would
wants to
probably
take
ask
that.
Ms. Shanti
Yeah,
Lakshmi to
nutritionist.
answer this
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We one of the things we can try is something which is really soft, which will help the child to chew easily. It's basically, if you ask me, I don't have a complete answer for this because it could be due to various reasons why the child is not eating. And whether the parents have tried giving anything other than chapati to the child, because something soft like a khichdi or a rice, which is, I won't recommend something which is again well mashed and given, because that will be going to become a habit again. So it is better to encourage the child by doing lot of other things around, involving the child in making something with the mother, with the parents. No, being in the kitchen, give her a dough in hand, ask her to roll out a chapati by herself, cook that for her and try giving her. Maybe the child will eat.
Got it.
So something, it's so important to keep the children involved in the cooking process. It's not that the mother is the only one who has to cook in the kitchen, because all these practical experiences is what is making make them more enthusiastic, and that will make them eat also. So my recommendation definitely would be, how do we do all this together?
Correct.
And all sprouting something. And that's a very interesting thing. Asking, take 3-4 cups, put 2-3 different things into the cups and see how it sprouts. So every day there is something for the child to see, watch, and then make a salad out of it and give it to the child. I'm sure the child will definitely have it.
Absolutely. I have a small experience actually to share in this.
Yeah.
So my child used to go to a Montessori school. I think they had a chana activity there.
Yeah.
Cooking the chana, and she would indulge in eating. Insist that I use this chana in some kind of cooking that she would, probably enjoy that food. And it did make a difference. I did try to, involve that chana in some cooking, and she started eating that. Probably that's not one of her favorite foods, but she got into eating the chana just because she was involved with that food.
Yes.
So like Ms. Shanti says that, you need to create that habit in children to get involved with that food in some way so that they develop an interest. Again, it can work, it need not work. So we have to keep experimenting and reinventing ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah. See, I just want to add, the parent needs to check whether the child eats chocolate also at the same speed or only
the parent says that the child doesn't like chocolates as well, sweets as well.
Okay.
So he or she is not fond of.
She has to see what is the incentive for her to chew so slowly. Either she doesn't like the way the mother is cooking, or now the mother will feel bad about it. But you know what? First, she should know what the child likes to eat. And that could probably, help her understand that whether the chewing factor is into doubt or what is it,
Has this got some connection to the teeth itself, Dr. Shetty? 3.5-year-old, I don't think there should be, right? Is there anything, could there be an indirect link?
Not if it's only if it's the same. No, not really. Not only if it's the same 3.5-year-old you talked about earlier, then might be, but not otherwise. It is not.
Yeah, there are no physical reasons.
Because if there are, go ahead.
Sorry, there are no physical reasons for not chewing unless they are having vomiting and stuff. Then you can say that there might be some issues with the stomach. They might be need to evaluate what's going on if she is throwing up after each meal. But not chewing part, because it's just a person that kid's interest with food. Yeah.
And okay, this is a very, very interesting question. My 3.5-year-old son always says I'm hungry. But he doesn't want to eat chapati, rice and all. So what will I do? Is the parent probably a desperate parent wanting to know what to do, what kind of food to give, doesn't want to eat chapati rice. Yeah. Can we have?
I think Shanti Lakshmi, she can answer. I think she has given a very nice substitute of mayonnaise. I think you have to modify your food. That is what is the substitute of rice and chapati that has to be found out. Yeah.
Basically, we should look at it's not to completely give that to the child to not to have rice or chapati, but how do you make a roll with the chapati itself for the child, no? Because basically I think it is just the disinterest or it's the monotony which sets in because some houses keep making the same thing to the child. So there is a need to make some innovative things. Coming back to the burger itself, suppose if a child wants to have a burger, it's not so necessary that you should have a bun to give a burger. A nice patty which you make out of sprouts. Just soak the sprouts, get it sprouted. To that you add your carrots, a bit of potatoes, peas, all the vegetables. Nicely knead it, make it into a cutlet, make it into a patty, and roll it and add the mayonnaise to it to make it more. Put some onion rings, make it as attractive as possible. Have some roasted peanuts on top, which is coarsely ground. And keep it in a nice cabbage leaf or a lettuce leaf, roll it and give it to the child. I'm sure the child would love it. This is my experience I have seen in so many schools when I do this. And I call it a burger. But the burger necessarily need not be with a bun. Definitely, if you can spend the time and make a bun yourself with either whole wheat or ragi or any of the millets, all the flours are available these days in the market. So this, if you can do that, that's with a little bit of definitely adding wheat to it because millets by itself are non-glutinous. So it is important to get it binded. You need to bit a little bit of wheat to it. Of course, the wheat has its own problems, but I don't believe in going extremes and saying that this is something you should not be eating, that is something you should not be eating. Try giving everything to the child and under moderation. So that is the best way to encourage a child to eat by making it all available to them. At the same time, keeping it as much as possible healthy and tasty by making it's mostly the creativity of the parents. It is very important to be creative. Think of something new. Even we get bored if we get chapatis and rice every day.
Thank you, Shanti. Yes, moderation is the key. Parents, there is no substitute for moderation and creativity. Just because we are parents doesn't mean that we should stop being creative. So, whoever is the person who's in charge of the kitchen in the homes, it's extremely important that we try, work our brain cells out and do something new in order to see that our children enjoy. I will take the last two questions. One question is, of course, anyone can take that question, doctors. Says frequent washing of hands. It's actually making the skin dry. So what is the solution? That is one question. And one more very important question that I also have to ask is how safe is wearing a mask while you're cycling or when you're, walking or, discomfort, physical discomfort is on one side, but how safe is the second question. So anyone can take that question. Would Dr. Rinku like to take the question about washing hands?
Yeah, washing of hands is very much important because as you say, it has been said that particularly you're talking about the sanitizers or washing of hands? Washing of hands is what the person is referring to. Yeah, washing of hands is, at this current scenario, washing of hands is the most important and we can't deny that. That is the need of the hour. So washing of hands, you can do after washing of hands, if the hands are getting dried up and all, you can put some moisturizers. That would be the best solution. So is it so bad? I mean, is the hand getting too rough or what is their question?
Their question is how to prevent this level of dryness It's causing a lot of dryness of the skin. So how do I, get over this problem of dryness?
It's just every time they come out, if they have gone out or if they are coming back home, washing is a must. So after that, if you put a good amount of moisturizer, that will help. And while sleeping, if you just put the moisturizer a little, and while sleeping, you don't have any other works to do. While going to bed, if they put a good amount of moisturizer, I think that will help a lot. And coming to the mask part, that is mandatory. See, cycling and all, cycling or doing some exercises with the mask on has its own side effects also. See, while seeing patients, we have PPE to wear. I put an N95 mask when inside the clinic and I'm seeing patients. But I have seen when I have started my clinic after 2 months of lockdown, you won't believe for 3 months how much headache I had. The reason is you're breathing the same thing again and again. Just by talking, I was feeling exhausted after quite a long time. I mean, after half an hour, I used to get exhausted. So doing some exercises with this has the impact on your heart and lungs. So at this point of time, we can't say no to it. You have to wear mask because that's a precaution. It's a safety measure for you. But then you have to plan your schedule, how much time you have to put for exercises or whether to go for running or stop jogging and running or not, that you have to take a decision. Because it has its own impacts also. Plus, we can't deny the importance of mask at this point of time.
Okay.
This is what is my personal opinion.
Yeah, let me add to that, Dr. Rinku Singh. I think the type of mask what they use during exercise is most important. They don't need N95. N95 is mostly for healthcare workers.
Yes.
So the normal, regular people, they can use cloth mask, which can be breathable. So that makes a difference. If they are using N95 and exercising, not a good idea. But if they use the cloth mask, they can still breathable, but at least the droplets won't be there, like the surface and stuff. And, so that can be one thing that they can do.
Okay. I think we have almost covered all the questions that surfaced on Facebook. So I would like to give it to Ms. Preeti Bhandari. Is there something that you would like to add on before we conclude the session, Ms. Bhandari?
Well, just a big thank you to all the doctors for taking time off and coming here. I'm sure our parents have benefited from the interactions that we have had and hope to see good times soon. Let's all come out.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
so
that's,
much. And you need to stay more safe than us, the doctors.
Thank you all. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
yeah, thank you so much, doctors, and thank you, Ms. Shanti, for being here and addressing a lot of questions that have surfaced in all our minds during these times. I would like to believe that these are not troubled times. These are probably learning times for all of us, and we have to forge ahead, probably from one challenge to another. And it's just thrown us a challenge to just move out of this particular zone into a, the comfort zone, the new comfort zone, which is going to come by. Thank you so much. It was my pleasure being a part of this panel discussion, and hope to have many more like this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.